Live?
There
Yep,
you go.
we lit up.
Okay, we're going to call to order a meeting of the Almont Township Board, December 9th, 2024, 7 o'clock with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Do we have any late agenda items?
Just one late agenda item for observed holidays.
Approved holidays. So we want to put that down at the bottom of our list here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right.
Just got one question. Ferguson Cemetery mowing / sexton is both under new business and board discussion.
Say that again, Dennis.
Ferguson Cemetery mowing / sexton is listed under new business and board discussion. Are they two different topics? I guess I'm not following this.
They are, yes, they are two different topics, but they're merged into one discussion, Danny.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. All in favor of the adoption of the agenda as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Move on to the consent agenda, regular meeting minutes dated November 18th of 24, our monthly bills, and the treasurer's report.
And we do not have a treasurer's report this month. I will have that to you shortly. We've been on the job 10 days.
I
We're been a little busy, but we'll get that
Totally
as soon as
understand.
possible.
totally understand.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, I had a question.
Yeah.
How about if you ran through the whole board here and introduced everybody, seeing how everybody is, we have some new elected officials here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Get everybody introduced so that if anybody's watching this, they kind of know where everybody is.
Okay. We'll start off to my right with Mr. Dennis Swears, okay, newly elected trustee. Dennis has got a lot of tenure with the township. He's a former board member, long-term member of the planning commission as well. So we welcome Dennis Swears back to the board. Thank you. Mr. Rick Dodge, I think we all know Mr. Rick. Rick's been on the board for quite a few years now. Kimberly Streeter, former trustee, now our newly elected treasurer. So we welcome Kimberly to her new position. I myself, for those that don't know me, came aboard back in 2002 as an appointed supervisor, ran again for re-election, was successful, ran again 4 years later, was defeated by Mr. Bowman, no hard feelings, was off the board for 4 years, came back 12 years ago as a trustee. Mr. Bowman has decided to retire. I ran for election for supervisor, so here I am today. Jenny Hennigy has been our clerk for a while now, so she's been a tenured member of the board. Randy Eschenberg, kind of been here for a long time. Okay, I think we all know Randy. He's the senior member of the board.
Oh.
Mike Chris, retired engineer from DTE, showed some interest, ran for position of trustee, and he's also newly elected. So we welcome all those newly elected individuals to our board. Okay. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda, which consists of the regular meeting minutes of November 18th, 2024, the township payroll, and the monthly bills in the amount of $155,832.63.
Support.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor with support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Our report section. Chief Don Smith, Fire Department.
Okay, with any luck at all, you have my monthly report. As you look down through that, you see that the MFRs were busier than ever. We're now going to be, I think by today, probably 450 runs this year so far, which is well above what it was last year. Fire was average with 10 runs. I just put down there livestock trailer delivered. Lapeer County got a grant from University of Michigan to put a livestock trailer in Lapeer. So if like a truckload of pigs flips over on our wonderful curb out here, we would have the resources to handle those animals.
Where's that trailer?
It's at animal control here,
Okay,
and it's available to anyone in Lapeer.
okay.
Do
We're doing some trainings with that.
do they respond if you need it done, or do you have to go?
Oh, absolutely they will.
Oh, they bring it out?
Yeah, we have 6 guys in our department that are real active.
Oh, great.
So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try.
Okay, the fire cadet program, Don, we're gonna discuss later on under new business, okay? So you can enlighten us a little more, and I've got some information for you that you may or may not already have heard from our attorney, but we'll go over that one.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay? Any questions for our fire chief?
Don, how are we doing on our daytime MFRs?
We're actually, right now, I think we're doing rather well.
Okay.
We're back on the high side of that curve. Jeff Riegel didn't last at KPAC. He didn't care much for KPAC schools, so he's in there a lot in the daytime. Jake Bobbitt is now a licensed medic, and his job allows him to float in and out. So at this point, we're on the high point, but that's a crazy business. Could change at any time.
Give some relief to Bob.
Yeah, it helps Bob.
Okay.
Bob won't quit.
Right.
Even when 3 of them call and out, Bob still goes.
Right.
We're just hoping Bob makes it forever.
Yes. Thank you for all you do.
Thanks, Don. Our police report, I got this email to me later this afternoon. Talked briefly this afternoon with the chief. He had to go home. He said he was trying to come back tonight to discuss his report. Doesn't look like he made it. I think we can excuse him. He's guaranteed he'd be here next month. This is a new form that he came up with through the assistance of Clemis, which is a law enforcement computer network. Looking at the chart here, he breaks it down to the township and the village with the total counts on all these various types of calls. So he indicated to me, of course, that the calls are generally and going to be, as we move along, higher in the township. So is there any questions? I don't know if I've got the answers tonight without the chief here, but any questions and or comments on the chief's police report?
Forward to him being here next month.
Okay. All right, you all should have a copy of our assessor's report. We do have a board review tomorrow afternoon, or tomorrow morning, I believe, just to go over some brief things. He indicates it's not going to be a long meeting. He seems to be doing a good job. Any questions reference the report that the assessor supplied to us? Nobody? Okay. Public comment, anything from the public? Yes, sir.
With the police, I still think that you guys should really look at the county taking over the township police department with everything that's gone on over the last couple of years with police officers getting nailed for stuff and lying with stuff. And there's still other stuff that's coming up within the next short time with another police officer or two with Almont. We need to get rid of the Almont Township Police Department, my opinion.
Okay, you're entitled to your opinion, sir. And that's something that we're gonna watch. We do have a new police chief. Him and I discussed some of those issues that were before his time. Mr. Willis appears to be a positive influence with the police department. He has plans instituting some changes, procedural policy changes within the department. I think the township board at this point we need to give him a chance to see where he takes us. So, but your comment is well deserved.
How many police chiefs do we need to go through before we find out that it isn't working? In my opinion.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to old business, dugouts and fencing. I don't know, reference to dugouts, the cement pads are in, the poles are in. Some of the fencing posts have been put up. We're waiting now for, I guess, decent weather to build the roofs, okay? Chan Pandura is the carpenter on that. Mike, you have some information on that? Did you talk to Chad about what his time frame is on that?
Well, the main thrust was to try to get everything that was weather dependent done before the ice and snow flew, which we did.
Right.
Chad knows that we've got a target for him early March to be completed. And the fencing company said they will come in immediately when he's done and finish up the fencing work. So the overall target was mid-April, and we think we're going to be right on track.
Right on track.
Yeah, Chad can start whenever. In fact, I'll probably be talking to him this week, get a
Okay.
feel for when he plans to start.
Okay.
But his work was not as temperature dependent as the cement work was.
Right, okay. Any questions or comment from the board on the dugout situation? Okay, fencing, we have talked in the past about fencing at the Scotch Settlement Cemetery. I don't know what the board's pleasure is on it. Some people want trees, some want fences. It's open for discussion, I guess. At some point, we have to make a decision. Randy, you look like you want to say something.
Well, I had brought up before that you put a fence up there, there's a lot of, to maintain it. I suggested put trees out there. Let's get some beauty back into it after those other trees were taken out. Not large trees, just something maybe smaller blooming trees throughout the summer. That was my thoughts. I thought Mr. Scott Settlement there was going to go down there and talk to the neighbors and find out. But I think right now it's too late in the year to do it. But I think our goal should be to, by springtime, is to have something figured out what to do. I mean, you can't put a fence up now, and you could, but.
So we're going to carry that through the winter and discuss it further in the
I
spring.
guess input from the board would be nice on what their thoughts are, you know, if they know anybody out that way, if they had any suggestions on what to do.
I liked the idea of a fence. I thought it looked nice and added a little bit of a level of protection. I'm not opposed to the trees. I think that could look very nice. I'm wondering if perhaps an Eagle Scout project or the Girl Scout troopers, some community group would want to take this on. I think that might be a real good project for them to work on. So if anybody is interested, please let us know. It looks like Kim has her hand up back there, but that's my thought. But I'd like to work on this. But I agree, it's a spring thing for sure.
Yeah, the people that I've talked to, everyone was in favor of trees. A few have named, put in the same trees that we took out. I think they were golden maples or something like that.
Silver maples,
No, I don't think they're.
hard maple.
Find out. I mean, but that was probably 5 or 6 that I've talked to. I see Kim's got her hand up.
Yeah.
She lives a couple doors down.
Kim will deviate from public comment, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was what.
That's okay.
Yes, so I live on Scotch Settlement. I agree also with having trees. I don't know if I want, I mean, it's not to me, but big trees that actually go over the road again. Because in the winter, that gets pretty slick there, that area.
Shaded.
Right,
Right.
because it doesn't thaw and the county doesn't get to it quickly. And sometimes it looks like there's black ice and there may be or may not be. I like the tree idea. I don't really care for the fence. I see the fence on Pitter Road between Boardman and 53, and it takes a lot to maintain that fence from what I've seen. So I think a lot of people, in my opinion, that I've talked to in my little area would like to see some trees as well.
Thanks. All right, well, we'll put it off, I guess, until we get closer to planting time and see what the board's viewpoint is at that point.
I'll reach out.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, we're gonna move on to new business. The first order of business tonight is interviews for the planning commission. Now, we went out looking for people interested. This board is going to attempt, I guess, to be more transparent, if you will, okay? Traditionally, by statute, a planning commission appointment is by supervisor choice with board approval, okay? So I approached the board asking them to come up with a series of interview questions. I'd like to hear from the folks that are here tonight. We're not going to, spend a whole lot of time, informal interview. I think I see Bonnie Krause. Thomas Schoen, are you here? Okay, Tom. Paula's here. Anthony Medley and Steve Haynes. So I'm going to start out with Bonnie. And I've got a conference room in the back, okay, where the other four, okay, if you care to, can wait in the conference room. Dennis, could you direct them back to the conference room for me? And Bonnie, we're going to start out with you. Wait till Dennis gets back.
Maybe he's not coming back.
I'm sorry.
I said, maybe he's not coming back.
I'm just not gonna-
There he is.
Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate it. So Mike Chris forwarded a list of questions to the board, as well as Dennis Swears. Some of the questions are similar in nature. There's 5 on each list, okay? I personally have 3 checked off on Mike's letter, and I've got 2 checked off on Dennis's. Hopefully the board all has copies of these questions. Okay, so I would open the floor up to the board. Dennis, we could start with you and come right around. I think we all know Bonnie, but just an impromptu question and answer, just brief as we can be.
Okay. Let me ask you about it, because I know you've been on a planning commission before, as your resume has stated, and you got a lot of experience in the municipality area. So I'm just going to ask you what's your view of the township today and your vision for the township as we move forward, given the role of the planning commission and what it does. And I'm assuming, because you were there, you know what the role of the planning commission is.
Right. And, I understand that the planning commission is tasked with approving development according to our ordinances. And, we want to be able to get the best development for our community that we can, knowing that there are limitations to what we can do. So I think our township is growing in the right direction. I really don't want it to grow too much. And I think most of us are out here because it's rural. So there's places for commercial, there's places for development, and there's places for people to live. So we just, master plan, which we're going through right now, is key to our community. And it sounds like you guys have been working really hard on your master plan, and that's what's going to guide us forward. And so, we get to look at that every 5 years and take a look and see where we are and where we need to go from there. But just basically keeping it rural. Rural is what as much as you can. And you have to understand that there's sometimes you can't say no. So, hope that answers your question. Yep, I could keep going, but I won't.
Well, this one's kind of covered in your resume, but it's one of our questions. So to be fair, I'll ask you the same questions we'd be asking everyone. Can you give us an overview of your past experience, either planning commission, construction, zoning, or project management?
So I did serve on the planning commission, and prior to that, I was appointed as the Armada Township planning recording secretary first, and then I moved over to the planning and zoning coordinator for Armada Township. And once I started looking at their master plan, I called my husband up and I said, get to the township because we got to find out what's in our master plan. So that piqued my interest in planning and zoning, and I've been interested in it ever since. I am working near to it on a daily basis. I'm on the construction end of planning now. I'm not in the planning part of it at work. So I've been doing it. I was 2003, I think I started in Armada Township, and then I was appointed to the board, to the planning commission. I was the planning commission's liaison to the ZBI for a period of time, and I really don't know what those periods of time are. I don't have a good grasp of that, but I was maybe 4 or 5 years is what I think it was. And I've, during the course of my time in Armada and here, I've taken the citizen planner courses. And so I'm now an certified industrial stormwater operator. So that kind of goes hand in hand with planning and zoning.
Are you certified citizen planner as well?
I am not now. I once
Okay.
took the courses, but yeah, I would have to do that again.
Thank
And
you.
things have changed from the time that I took it anyway, so I would want to take it again.
Thank you.
2 really quick questions. Are you committed to ongoing training? And also, what would you like to see the planning commission accomplish in the township?
Absolutely committed to ongoing training. I think that's key because things are changing all the time, and especially in this area. Great development as much as we can, and the appropriate development in the appropriate spot,
Okay, thanks, Bonnie.
and without impacts to the neighbors.
Jenny?
Pretty much asked the questions I was gonna ask, so I'm good.
I agree. I think everything and that was on the list here has been,
She kind of answered the questions that we already have.
All right, well, I'll throw one out there just for the heck of it. Do you have any advanced training, education, or experience that you'd like to draw our attention to that would highlight your qualifications for this position? Anything that we haven't covered?
Well, other than my experience at Washington Township for the 18 years that I've been there, because the 18 years that I've been there has been in the water and sewer department on the development end of things. So, and being at Township Hall now, and one of the senior staff members, I'm called a lot to assist the newer staff, sometimes with planning and zoning questions, because I do know it. So I've been doing this for a long time. As far as the engineering part of things, I understand the flow. I understand the challenges with being a planning commissioner and a zoning board of appeals person. And I know how to say no, and I know how to say yes. And my industrial stormwater operator, I mean, I handle our watershed permit, and stormwater is near and dear to my heart as well. So I guess maybe just my years of experience
Thank you.
at the township.
That's great. Anything else from the board? All right, Bonnie, when we complete the interviews tonight, there'll be some discussion at some point, but the appointment will be made at January's meeting, okay? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome to stay, whatever you want to do, it's up to you.
Okay,
All
thank
right?
you.
All right. Dennis, do you mind?
Anybody in particular? Just-
I've got Thomas Schoen.
It's pronounced Shane.
Hmm?
It's Shane.
It's Shane.
Shane.
Thomas Schoen.
Kind of like Shaner without the at the end.
Schoen.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just missing the HERR for Shaner.
Mike, we'll start with you. Go in reverse.
I can do that. I think everybody else left.
I'm sorry?
They went out the front door.
Everybody left.
Oh, yeah, they may have. Mr. Shane?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background? We all have a copy of your resume, but could you just introduce yourself a little bit and let us know a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Tom Shane. Not to be confused with my father, who is also Tom Shane. He's a little older than I am, but he is my neighbor. So if you're ever looking us up, I'm at 6478. So I am a almost lifelong resident of Almont. Moved here when I was in second grade. Graduated from Almont High School. Went on to a couple different colleges, but got a degree in nursing. Was an emergency room nurse for almost 10 years, 7-8 years. Then I went into management. Through the management process, went and got my MBA. Am still in the healthcare field as an administrator for Henry Ford Health. So I help run their orthopedic departments. So a little bit different background than what you may see up here, but I feel like I'm well-rounded in the fact that I've gone through multiple different avenues to get where I am, put in the time and the work to get the degrees to get there, and then continue to learn every step of the way.
Thanks, Tom. Mike, we start with you if you have any questions.
Got a list of 5 you gave us. Yeah, hi, Tom.
Hi.
So let me just ask, what is your personal preference or your vision for Almont's long-term development in terms of commercial, residential, and industrial growth?
Well, I think one, you have to maintain the vision of our predecessors, right? Which is to really maintain the small town feel. Okay, I think everybody knows that Almont has had in the past the ability to grow more than we have, but for very good reason. We have decided on what is right and what is wrong. So growth is inevitable, in my opinion. Okay, change is inevitable. Those things are probably the two constants. But really, it's providing the right growth. Okay, so how do we bring in a business that can add to our tax base, can help decrease some of the taxes for our residents, but also be the right business for the community, right? Does it provide jobs? Does it provide the right image? All those things are important. So it's really the selection of what we want to do. Okay. Also, I'm not in the village, I'm in the township, but many of my friends in the village talk about the water bills. We all experience the DTE energy crises from time to time, right? Do we have the resources to build and how quickly? So all of those things need to be taken into account. But I'm not here to say that I don't want growth. I think growth, again, we see what's happening to the south of us, Romeo, Washington. You go to Romeo's downtown, it's beautiful. They did it the right way. They're a long ways ahead of us, but they did it the right way. And people are moving there and buying homes that are in that upper echelon. And those are the right taxpayers. Those are who we want to bring in. The people that want to be there, live there, contribute to the community. Those are the people that we want.
Thank you.
Well, you know, I'm looking down these questions here and he's hit on a lot of them in here, you know, already. I mean, it's like, there was one here that, all right, just what is your view of the township today and your vision of the township as we move forward? Which you've hit on it a little bit, but.
Yeah, and I think the township, again, what are we built on? We're rural America, okay? So the farm community is something that we have to continue to value, right? Because our farmers not only hold a large amount of land in the township, but they're also some of our oldest residents, right? So taking them into account as well and talking with them and getting their input is vastly important. So right now, rural America is where I see us, but it doesn't mean that there's no growth, if that makes sense.
Can you tell us why you've decided you'd like to serve on the planning commission?
Sure. As I mentioned, lifelong resident. I moved away for a few years to meet my wife and move our family back. But I'm invested in the community. I live 100 yards from where I grew up. I plan on living in my house the rest of my life. My kids go to the schools. My parents have lived here for 40 years. I mean, this is where we live. My family, my sister, my aunts, my uncles, we all live here. I want to give back to that. And I think I'm at that prime age where if I get involved now, you know, sky could be the limit. So we'll see where that goes.
This is a question I asked Bonnie too.
Sure.
Hi, Tom. Are you committed to ongoing training? And also, what would you like to see the Planning Commission accomplish in the township?
Sure. Of course, ongoing training. Yes, I do that with my job currently. What I'd like to see us accomplish, I guess, would be to analyze what's put in front of us and make the right decisions for the community. So I don't know exactly what's on the table at the moment, but it's really that analysis that I'd be honed in on. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, from my resume and what you may be looking for, I might not be the most qualified person. You know, I'm not a real estate agent. I don't have prior experience in politics or, you know, local government. But what I can tell you is I'm willing to learn. I'll ask a lot of questions, probably not only a benefit, but also a downside, because I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I want to know that I'm making the right decision when I make the decision.
Well, he's answered most of the questions that we have highlighted. I just had one additional, I'll throw an ad hoc one in there. I noticed that you checked on your application that you're interested in Planning Commission. Would you be interested in Zoning Board of Appeals as well?
Potentially. I didn't know there was a seat available, but yeah, definitely.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you've hit on quite a few, Tom. Appreciate it. What do you view as the role of the Planning Commission as it relates to the township?
So my view of the Planning Commission is really to be that decision-making body that kind of takes out the emotion, okay? The people that look at the facts, look at and hold what's our best interest as a community, you know, in their minds, and then make a decision based on that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Tom.
No problem. Thank you.
Nice job, Tom.
Anybody in particular?
Paul?
Pardon me?
Paul Alfonsi. Tom, these decision, who we appoint that will be announced at the January meeting. Okay? Hi, Paula.
Hi.
We kind of all know you. Well, maybe some of us don't, but can you just give us your brief background? Tell us a little bit
Paula
about yourself.
Alfonsi, I've lived in Almont, the village for 20-some years, and then we moved to the township, and we've been there for, I think, a total of maybe about 45 years now. Been involved in the community in a lot of different ways. Presently I sit on the ZBA board, but I've been involved in DDA stuff, the church doings, the homecoming. Tracy and I have done the last, how many years of parades, but in the community. I've always had an interest, and if I do have something that is near and dear to my heart, I go to the proper boards. Also, I've dealt with these different boards with my businesses. I had a grooming business in town, and then when I moved it to the township, that was a whole nother story. So I learned a lot there. But sitting on the ZBA board, I find it really interesting, helping people and making decisions, and it's very interesting. I'm very interested where Almont's going in the future, and just trying to give back to the community and, yeah, be involved. I usually am.
Randy, do you have anything?
I mean, no.
Uh-oh.
Move it around a little bit.
I'll go back to, what's your view of the township today and your vision of the township as we move forward?
I'm very happy with the township right now. I love seeing lots of land. I hate seeing it sold off and put into subdivisions. I realize that's where a lot of taxes come in, but I'd like to see it done with larger lots. I don't want to see, like, for instance, one time there was a builder that wanted to come in and put like 200 homes on so many acres, and it was, thank God that was voted down. But no, in the future, I think we need to address agriculture. I'd like to see Almont stay agricultural. I grew up in Romeo, and then you see how that got all built up, and then all the farmers moved north. I'm an outdoors person. We have a hobby farm, so I'm kind of, that's near and dear to my heart. But again, it's so many times I see a lot of decisions and questions being asked, and they're common sense questions, and it's kind of fun to help. I don't know, did I answer it?
Jenny, anything?
Let's look at this question. Just like ongoing training, are you open to attending
Absolutely.
lots of training to learn?
Yes.
Now I know you're on the ZBA. Have you ever been on the planning commission or no?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I've been before you guys when I had to put my business in and stuff like that.
She's like,
Because-
that's still my question.
Jenny has stolen my two questions I'm asking everybody. First one is, are you committed to ongoing training?
Absolutely.
Okay. And the other one is, what would you like to see the planning commission accomplish in the township?
Can I say what I don't want to see happen? I don't want to see Almont turn into miles and miles of little mini strip malls. I want to see, I would love to see a downtown area. I would love to see clusters of stores and stuff like that. But I think Van Dyke's got a lot of traffic. We got a lot of issues going on there. Again, I don't know how to answer that.
That's
So,
okay.
yeah.
That's good. Thanks.
Rick, anything?
So she kind of answered the questions that we have highlighted already.
Dennis?
Yeah, good job. What do you see as the role and purpose of the planning commission, Paula?
To make sure that businesses coming into the Almont area are properly placed and follow those certain rules. Like, for instance, when my business went in, neighbors were all advised, there was a hearing. Everybody got to say what they wanted to say. A lot of times you have businesses slide in, open up, and all of a sudden they're established and people's going, they're like, where did they come from? And so, yeah, I think there's guidelines to be followed and certain rules that need to be made and followed. And yeah, I think it's important to have a planning commission.
Thanks, Paula. We'll make the announcement at January's meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dennis, do you mind? Nope. Anthony Medley? Okay.
I didn't have to go through this. Shades next time.
Hi, Anthony. Can you just give us a little synopsis, a little brief background on yourself?
Anthony Medley. I got 3 kids. I'm divorced. I live in Almont. I'm a 15-year business owner here. I've lived here for 21 years. Education-wise, I have a degree in business leadership and management and a minor in architectural design and technology. Anything else? I'm a personal trainer, coach.
Okay. Obviously, you have an interest in serving on our planning commission. I'm going to open the floor and start with Jenny. Do you have any questions?
Okay, so I guess my first question would be, can you tell us why you decided you would like to serve on the planning commission?
I have a passion for volunteering and serving this community. I feel that I like to try to make a difference, especially in the planning commission part, and what's going on and what's coming in our new master plan, and being a part of that. That's my thoughts.
I've asked everybody these very same questions. So first one is, are you committed to ongoing training? And also, what would you like to see the Planning Commission accomplish in the township?
Ongoing training, I have no problem with that. I'm a big fan of continuous education. What was it again?
What would you like to see the Planning Commission accomplish
What would I
in the
like to see
township?
the planning commission accomplish in the township? I don't have an answer for that.
Okay,
I don't know. I'd have to be part of it to find out what we can do.
okay, that's a good answer.
All right.
That's good.
Rick, anything?
What would your vision be? It sounds like you have some ideas. Can you share some?
My vision
Yeah.
for Almont,
Yeah,
for their master plan.
sure.
Yeah, I have a vision. I'd love to see M53 as more of a corridor with residential area from east and west, not too far out, leave the agriculture where it's at. I'd like to see M53 expanded. Get a turning lane down there would be nice. That's something I'm very passionate about, especially since my business is on M53 and I'm constantly seeing accidents in and out of there. That's very disturbing. So that's a little bit of my vision.
Yes?
What do you see as the most important character of Almont Township?
the most important character of Almont Township.
Most important asset that we have in the township here. Most important to the people of the township. What do you see as your view?
A rural area that we live in, and the fact that 20 minutes in either direction and we can go to get groceries or we can go get some food. I mean, I lived in the city and 20 minutes was at the corner. I mean, now I go 20 minutes to go 20 miles. It's the best of all worlds, I think, to be honest with you.
Okay, Mike, anything?
Oh, hi, Anthony. No, I guess, is there other training or direct experience or specific skills, technical skills and so forth that you think we should know about that you've maybe accomplished in the past?
I built my own house.
Still standing?
It is. It hasn't blown over yet. I got nothing for you. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You don't have to. I just wanted to make sure we got everything out that you wanted to say.
Randy?
I'm good.
You're good?
I think he's hit on about everything here.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll announce whoever gets appointed in January meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
I'll be here.
Hi, Steve. Can you give us a brief background on yourself, Steve?
Sure. Well, I currently work at Oxford High School as an assistant automotive instructor. Before that, I worked at Lapeer ISD, where I was also an assistant automotive instructor. In 2010, something I'm very proud of and I lean on quite a bit, I worked at the Embassy of Papua New Guinea, where I researched. I was a research analyst. I would research viable projects for the country, whether that would be for their housing crisis that they're constantly going through, or their medical facility that they wanted to kick off the ground. But one of the biggest projects I contributed to was the PNG LNG project, liquefied natural gas. So that was one thing I did in Washington, D.C. I was probably there a couple of years working on that. I also graduated Macomb Community College Center campus with a general studies associate's degree, and Eastern Michigan University with a bachelor's degree in international affairs.
Rick, do you have anything?
Off script on this one.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to ask a question of my own.
Okay, that's fine.
Given the sign that was in your yard for many years.
Yeah.
Are you able to separate personal and township?
Absolutely.
Can you expand on that?
Sure. For one thing, if I couldn't, I should not be here at all. That's one thing. The personal issue that I had was just that. Me coming up here wanting to give back, one of the things that I want to make clear is if there's anything that gives the even the illusion that it could be a personal anything, I need to recuse myself, period. So, I mean, if anything came up between, I don't know, I mean, Mr. Bowman isn't here, but if something did, then yeah, I would recuse myself entirely. I think to keep the credibility of the township itself and my own integrity intact, I think I would have to. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Steve, what is your view of the township today and your vision for the township as we move forward?
So I've lived here since, well, on and off since 1986. Permanently, God, probably 1987, 88. My grandparents lived here before I did. They retired out here. I always remember it as it was, and I remember as it is today. It is growing. There is a lot of rural heart here and heritage, and I respect that so much, and that's something that I really want to protect. So I guess my concern is overall in the community is the growth, the way the growth is, and making sure that it grows in a direction that benefits the citizens of Almont.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, anything?
No, you know what? I guess he's pretty much covered everything that I would want to ask, so I'm comfortable with it.
Okay. Randy or Jenny?
I'm good. I guess I just want to go back to Rick's question there. I think that was a well-put question, and I give a lot of respect to the comment that how you answered it too.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
I don't have any questions, I think.
Steve, I appreciate your
I-
interest, okay?
Gary,
Uh,
I can just,
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you the same two questions I've asked everybody else.
Yeah, sure.
Are you committed to ongoing training? And then also, what would you like to see the planning commission accomplish in the township?
So ongoing training, I do that in my career as it is. I think if anybody said no, again, they should not have the position. It is, nobody knows everything. We all need training to further progress in whatever our endeavors are. And your other question was?
What would you like to see the planning commission accomplish in the township?
I think one of the biggest things is, as I talk to people in the community, people don't really feel heard. And one of the biggest things I just want to see is that we're listening. That we're listening. When people come here, that, you know, we don't have to agree, but it's something that we should always do is try to understand all sides and try to, administer law or ordinance fairly and equally across the board. That's all I would ever want.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate your time.
Announcement will be made at the January meeting, Steve, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, part and parcel, I guess, and I was remiss in putting that on the agenda as new business, but part and parcel of the planning commission interviews, we've got to reappoint a gentleman to the planning commission. His tenure expires December 31st. We also have to appoint a member of the township board as the liaison to the planning commission. So on your background information, I've got a recommendation. If anybody is interested in making a motion to that effect, now would be the time.
I make a motion to approve Kevin Bagalia.
Alonga.
Whatever. Okay, Kevin. Appointment to the PC, term expiring the end of December. Oh, term expiring. So his term would go to 2027?
Correct.
Yes, okay. And Dennis Swears as the PC board rep.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor with support to approve Kevin
Alonga.
to the PC, term expiring 12/31/27, and Dennis Swears as the planning commission board rep. Any further discussion?
I think they both do a fantastic job, but Dennis, do you accept?
Absolutely, I'd be proud
I
to.
just want to make sure of that.
We're not going to give him that chance.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, haul route agreement for Kenny Measle. Jenny, you handed this to me a couple of weeks ago. It's the old agreement dated the 12th day of December 22. And somebody made a note on here, 2030, the year 2030. Being we're in 2025, that would be a 5-year haul route agreement. Randy, you mentioned something to me about maybe we should only go 2 years. I don't know if you want to explain
That's
that.
my suggestion. Why? Because I do believe in 2 years, the material is going to be gone.
Okay.
I had asked Paul and he said he thought more like 5 years. That's why I suggested
I don't know.
2030, but
we renew it every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
I live next to it. I see the stuff go out. It's getting to the point where it looks like it's to its limits.
Well, the old agreement was 22, so.
Yeah, it was a
23,
2-year before.
Yeah, okay.
I'm fine
It doesn't
with that.
matter to me. I'm just putting that out there.
All right,
It's up to the rest of the board.
I would entertain a motion.
So I'll go ahead and make my first motion. I would move to renew the haul route agreement with Ken Measles Supply effective December 9th, 2024 through 12/31/26. I agree with Randy. 2 years seems sufficient.
Through what year?
2 years seems
2 years.
sufficient. So
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We have support.
Support.
We have support. Any further discussion? All in favor
Aye.
and opposed? The motion carries. Okay. Mining permit extension, Rodeo Homes and VP Capital. So we had this on the agenda last month. Sal was out of town. There were some questions that were raised about some engineering issues maybe that had to be addressed. So Sal, if you could explain those situations to us. You did get a copy of the report by now, right?
I did finally get the copy,
Okay.
yes, thank you. I guess let's start with one project first.
Sure.
Instead of intertwining both, anyone in particular?
One at a time.
All right, so the Yoder site,
Right.
the old Yoder site, that's in process. I've had conversations with Corey. The berms are being established. Typically, we get to work on it in the winter months, and summertime I kind of get drifted away with other things. So this winter we'll be back at it. Hopefully have the berms all finished up. And whatever items left on that agenda, I can make sure that they're taken care of. I think it was just some signs and basically berm issues, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the only thing I see here is the signage on the south and the east, and the screen is located outside of the fence mining area. That's what's in bold on mine.
If that equipment is an issue, I can easily move it back into the mining area. It was just limited on space in there, that's all.
Any questions for Sal?
Is this a 1-year permit? Is how we do these things? Extends for 1 year?
It is renewal every year.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, 1 year.
I'll make a motion to approve the mining permit extension for 1 year for Bristol and Yoder locations with contingencies. No,
Motion on the floor.
and the contingencies are to clean up the punch list from Corey. Do we have any kind of timeline that we want to put on some of the stuff, like the sign, like simple stuff, low hanging fruit?
In a
Can we
lot of
bang out
cases,
some of it?
Yeah, we do these approvals with contingencies. But in a lot of cases, we don't have a time frame on a contingency. So what's your thoughts on that, Sal? I mean, how?
The easy stuff, I can have that done in a couple of months. The signage, won't take long at all, quite honestly.
Yeah.
The equipment, if it keeps staying muddy, it's going to be hard to move some of the equipment back in. But if it freezes up, I can take care of that stuff. The berms is going to take a little time. That's an ongoing process. So
I think the signs were on last year, so
yeah,
that's what I'm.
Yep.
That's what I'm.
I
getting at,
can
is
easily
let's-
have the
let's
signs taken care of right away.
Clean up some of that stuff.
Sure.
and-
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve. Do we have any support for that motion?
Support.
Okay, motion with support. Any further discussion from the board?
I'd like to understand the Bristol operation a little better.
Okay,
Sally, you've got homes you're gonna build off Kidder Road, so is that in a recovery situation in that Bristol pit?
So
And where do we stand on it?
So Corey is currently working with Road Commission on getting the approvals for the Kidder access
For the driveways?
for the driveways. That should hopefully be handled here in the next couple of months through Road Commission.
Oh, that's right, Corey is your engineer on the.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So.
He is also our engineer.
Correct. So we'll be in good hands. That's the process that I know right now that he's working on. The mining portion will have to be completed in that section before I start any construction on the Kidder Road process.
Mining operation being the recovery.
The reclaiming
process.
Reclaiming process, yes.
So are you still taking material out of there?
The last of the material will be more than likely gone this spring.
Okay. And you,
I'm sorry, stockpiled material. There is no mining.
that's what I thought.
There is no mining in the lake, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the recovery would have to be done before the homes start to get built in there?
Yes. Yep, the section where the homes will be done will be 100% complete before we start any construction. Now, a portion of the mine can be taken off of that and.
As far as the site plan for the site condominium?
Correct, yes. So that's something I'll have to come back in front of this board when it comes time for that.
Yeah, I was wondering how we would
Yeah.
follow up with some of that stuff, because it's pretty significant over there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Rick, could you repeat your motion again? I guess the question I have, are you doing one or both of them? Just both, okay, all right. Because when he started out, he started talking about Yoders, and then we drifted into the Bristol, so
Right.
they're together.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I got it.
Should we separate them?
Well, that's what I was wondering, because he
Yeah.
started talking about the Yoders, and then,
To me, it's totally two different projects right here, right now. One's still a mining operation, and one's still.
that's where I was at, and can we separate them?
Fine with that.
Okay.
So moved.
Here.
So just separate the motion apart there, and both of them both,
you want a separate motion for each operation? Is that?
Rick's gonna do that.
Okay.
So do I rescind my original?
Just amend it.
Okay, I'll amend my original motion to approve the mining permit extension for 1 year at the Bristol location with contingencies.
And I support that amended motion.
Perfect. Got it. I'm gonna have a motion on the floor with support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
I will also move to approve the mining permit extension for 1 year at the Yoder location with contingencies.
And I will support that.
Thank you.
Motion on the floor with support. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Sal.
Thank you.
Okay, our cadet program for the fire department. Last month, we didn't, for whatever reason, we didn't have the manual. We have it tonight, okay? I've read it. I think there's a lot of positive outcome that could become of it. However, I did talk to our attorney, Mr. Bob Siebert, and I don't know, Don, if you were appraised of his viewpoint, okay? Now, he says a lot of communities are using these cadet firefighter programs, but his concern are the involvement of minors, anybody under the age of 18, as to liability. He says, you know, Bob represents many communities, and he says most communities are using these cadet programs against his better judgment, okay, if you will. So Our insurance carrier, I haven't talked to them. He's recommending maybe that we do to get their viewpoint on it. I don't know if you've gone to that.
Yeah, Paul and I did make a contact with the insurance carrier. I would say cautiously optimistic. I mean, they didn't say no.
Okay,
Of course, they don't like anything more liability.
right. I mean, a minor, what are we looking at, Don, in your mind, like age group?
16 to 18. At 18, they could join as a firefighter.
Right, okay. You know, we used to have these cadet programs at the sheriff's office. I don't know that I recall any litigation as a result of it, but does the board have any questions for Don? Is any input
Yeah,
from the board?
I have a few. Don, this is kind of exciting. This is our first venture in this with cadets?
Yeah, pretty much. We've had one young man that's been around the fire station, expressed a lot of interest. So I decided we should get a formal program rather than.
Take a look at it anyway.
Disaster.
So you would have a screening process before?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not looking to put out a bulletin to high school and say, oh, come one, come all, by no means at all.
Good.
This is something you're behind and requesting.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a young man's business, the fire department.
You bet. Your mission and value statement identifies Burlington Township. Is there a reason
No,
for
I
that?
think there's a revised one where I
Okay.
fixed that.
Oh, that's a typo technique.
Yeah.
I was wondering what.
Burlington Township is in Lapeer County. They were the first to develop this program, and it's pretty much gone statewide now. So I got permission from Burlington's chief to plagiarize this agreement.
Fabulous.
I made some changes that I didn't like in it.
Mhm.
You should have the final draft I sent here.
And then in your code of conduct, you identify advisors and parents.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's, first of all, if you were express interest as a cadet firefighter, let's say this young lady came to me and said she wanted to be a cadet firefighter, I'm gonna get to know her parents really well.
Good.
Because if her parents aren't into this and understand what she's getting into, I don't need the headaches, all right? And I'm
Roger.
gonna choose my people that are motivated, and have a real interest, and they gotta have some smarts too. This is not a dumb man's business. Although I've said
Absolutely.
many times, we might be brave, but we're not real smart. But it isn't a dumb man's business. There's a lot of education, continuing education and things. If I invest my time in a young person, I want them to want to spend time in our department.
Yeah, this is well written on that mutual thinking along those lines, and especially with 53 the way it is and accidents out there. When they're on a scene, are they easily identified from your
Yeah,
regular?
they have a different stripe on
Okay.
their helmet.
Okay.
They
so-
are tagged to an officer.
Oh, excellent.
A cadet can't get on the truck and go to a fire scene. That doesn't happen. The only way a cadet can get on the truck is if I say, come with me. And then he's tied to me for the rest of the time.
Great.
Cannot participate in anything dangerous, would mainly be record keeping, those kind of things, maybe filling air bottles.
So how often, Don, would they be in the fire hall? I mean, at your
At
normal,
least twice a month for meetings, and then if there's a run, they're welcome to respond. There are some hours. That was one of the things that the attorney said to me, at like the 10 o'clock, so I moved it to 9. Yeah, they're to respond.
So when they respond, they go to the fire hall and then they're tagged with an advisor or something like this?
They're tagged with either they're with an officer, not necessarily an advisor, one of the officers.
Okay.
Yeah, it says advisor in there, but in my mind, the officers are the advisors.
Good.
And
Okay.
if they don't go on the run, then they would be responsible to work with the radio operator, learn how to fill out reports, maybe even do some conversations on the radio to understand how radio traffic works. And then they can also sweep the floor if the guy who's in charge of the hall says, sweep the floor, then sweep the floor.
Well, I like the idea too that they recondition the equipment as you guys come back and get ready for the next run.
Yeah.
That's a,
Well, we all do that.
yeah, I know. Okay. I'm good here.
anything else from the board?
So Don, and I think it sounds like a great program. The question I had, the attorney expressed concern. I assume that there is an ironclad waiver of liability that they can prepare that gets signed before that person begins as a cadet, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons for getting to know the parents and that, there is a liability release and everything in the program. I come from a family full of attorneys. If you ask an attorney, do you want $100, there'd be a question. So that's, I expect that.
Now, what he stressed to me, Don, was, I guess, intense supervision, that they're not just left to roam around and, with a constructive program to keep them busy. So I know it's a new offering, I guess, at least with our fire department. I personally willing to give it a try. So I don't know what the rest of the board's thoughts are.
I love this. I think it's a great opportunity for a young man or young woman to explore a career in firefighting. And I'm really excited about it. Are you going to contact the school or work with the school at all on this?
Maybe somewhat. I mean, through the ISD,
Mhm.
Intermediate School District thing, they have a firefighter training program. If they had a candidate for me to interview, I would do something like that. I really don't want it to become the after-school club. I'm not
Right.
interested in that. Just not.
Yeah.
And I would think 3 would be a max we'd ever have at any one time.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be responsible for 3 people that don't have a clue what's going on.
Right.
I'm gonna want to be able to do hands-on. I will start out as the main advisor in the program or whatever. I will try to spin that off to one of my captains at some point down the road, a couple of years or so down the road. And we'll see how it goes. If you want to do it conditionally for a year, I'm all about that too, because I'll learn a lot too. I may throw my hair up or whatever, pull out whatever gray hair I got left and say, this ain't working for me. So,
Well, I mean, if you would communicate that to us anyway, if it wasn't working for you.
absolutely.
Right. I don't know if the year conditional thing is necessarily necessary, but it's up to board discussion.
I have a couple questions. One, can we make this work with the attorney and the insurance?
I didn't quite hear that.
Can we make this work with the attorney and the insurance? If we approve this, are we going to get to a hard no? The attorney says, no, we can't do it. Something of that nature.
The attorney,
and then-
the way the attorney explained it to me, I mean, like Don says, he's an attorney. So attorneys deal with litigation, exposure all the time. So could something happen? Certainly. I mean, it could. What he's telling me is a lot of the larger communities south of us in Macomb County, they're all using cadet firefighter programs, okay? The communities that he represents, he says, I'm telling it to you the way I tell it to them, okay? And most of them, they have the program. So if you'd like me to call our insurance company, Don, you said you had some discussion with Coleman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same thing. Of course, they're worried about liability.
Right.
I would think maybe we should make contact with them. Is there any additional cost?
I already contacted them.
Okay.
After the last,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
So there's no additional cost for it. They said same thing, right? Like a lawyer, they're very cautious on it. It's not, they will cover it. They said they just say, like, you're very strict, like you are there to be attached to you. You have to just make sure you don't take on too many. So they said there's no additional cost. They would be covered. It's just, you want to make sure that your list of qualifications and list of rules they have to follow are followed very strictly.
Okay. I personally would like to accommodate our fire chief. Don's been a progressive chief throughout the years, and I think it's a viable program. There's liability in today's world with anything that we enter into. So that coupled with Jenny's comments that she discussed it with our insurance carrier. Our insurance carrier, I personally don't have a problem with it. It's up to the board.
I have one more question. Are we approving the program itself or the manual?
Program.
program.
And then I will bring a cadet before you, just like I do with firefighters.
Okay. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the Almont Fire Cadet Program presented by Fire Chief Don Smith.
Support.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve the cadet training program with support. Any further board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck, Don.
Emily City School Summer Tax Collection. Kim, what do you know about that? I know we've been doing this for 20-some years I've been around.
Right. We received a letter from Emily City basically asking us to collect their summer school property taxes. They will pay us $3.85 a parcel for us to do that. So we're asking for approval to do that.
I'll move to approve the summer tax collection from Emily City Schools at a rate of $3.85 per parcel.
Support.
Motion's on the floor to approve the collection of summer taxes for Emily City Schools with support. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Treasurer's Assistant, Treasurer's Designee Resolution. I guess, Kim, again, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. These are actually two separate things.
Right.
And as everyone knows, Roberta, the treasurer who has left us, she is staying on as my deputy until the end of this winter tax season. And her goal in that is to keep training me and passing along the information that she has gained over the past 16 years. So we need to put in place a plan to replace her because she won't be with us. She won't stick around forever because she wants to retire. So I did interview, Roberta and I both interviewed a very, very qualified applicant. You guys have a copy of her resume. She has 17 years of experience as a deputy treasurer in Washington, worked for Washington Township and Oakland Township. She's extremely qualified, and I think she'd be a valuable asset. So what I would like to do is get board approval to bring her on board. And this is my motion. And then I have a little bit of information to add after that. I would like to approve Michelle DeClerc as the treasurer's assistant with a wage to be set at $20 per hour for an average of 3 days per week. She is expected to start on December 16th, 2024, and a 30-day probationary period will apply. This is expected to change as Michelle will be named the deputy treasurer once Roberta has stepped into her full retirement. I'll update the board when that happens, and the deputy treasurer wages and hours are expected to remain the same. For now, Roberta will continue to work a few days per week during the transition period as she is able, and Michelle and Roberta will continue or will coordinate their days so we don't have extra coverage that isn't needed. So that is what I would like to put before the board. Yeah.
She will be your assistant and then become the deputy after 30 days.
No,
No.
she is just a probationary period of employment for right now as the assistant. Because I cannot have two deputies, once Roberta has stepped down and transitioned, then Michelle will become my deputy. And then at that point, I don't think that Roberta will be here a whole lot. And again, the end of tax season is the end of February. So it's not that long. So I'm open to any questions that anybody has on this.
So what happens if your assistant comes in on December 16th, you said?
Right.
What happens if she comes in? It's just a question.
Mhm.
What happens if your assistant catches on within 2 weeks of being here and you feel comfortable turning those deputy, that position over to her. Is
Mhm.
that something that you would consider?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I
I'm
think
just-
Roberta is very eager to begin her full retirement, but there's still some training that I need to complete, and she needs, and I feel comfortable with her walking with me through this tax season. I feel better about that.
I'm sorry.
So yes, if Roberta is ready and is comfortable and wants to step down,
You
I'm
just,
fine
yeah,
with
you
that.
just put in there to the end of the tax season just to make sure that,
Into my motion, or,
no, I would, no, you stated earlier, it's not in your motion
Oh,
that
okay.
you'd like to keep her around, but I just asked a question. If you felt comfortable that the new person coming in as a deputy could take over, say in 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, then,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I guess my question quick, so when, just because of the pay difference, so when she takes over as deputy,
Mhm.
you're gonna increase her pay? as
I
deputy?
don't foresee that. It's $20 per hour.
But deputy pay is not $20 per hour, that's what I'm saying.
What is deputy pay?
$18.50.
I believe we were paying a past employee that higher amount.
The $20 was for, the deputy treasurer was $18.50.
Okay,
The treasurer's assistant was the 20.
okay,
Because Sandy had worked here for many years,
Okay.
she said she would start that out. So that's where I was a little
Okay.
confused on your thing, because if she switches to deputy treasurer, I'm assuming you're not gonna deduct and be like, okay, now you're gonna go down in pay.
correct. You know what, these people, Roberta's got 16 years plus of experience as a treasurer. Michelle has 17 plus. They are more than worth $20 an hour for the assistant, treasurer's assistant and deputy treasurer. And for the 9 weeks that we overlap, I don't have a problem with paying each one $20 an hour.
Does that all fall within the budget that's already been
It does,
set?
because I looked at that. When you were in, I looked at that. And the budget right now was for, until the end of June, the deputy treasurer was budgeted $10,760. A little bit of that has been spent, so we have about $9,600 left. It is very close, and again, the average I see is probably about 3 days a week. That takes into account when tax time is very, very busy, and I would need someone there 4 days a week versus regular time, which we would only need somebody there 2 days a week. And again, it's 6 hours a day. So that is my thought.
Has the board already decided on the $20? I'm the new guy, so I'm asking, is that a foregone conclusion? Was that already stipulated as the going rate?
I would like to give her $20 an hour. I think she's worth it. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said, I think we have to make a motion for the $20.
Right, that was I read the motion.
Right,
was
but
my
that's
motion.
where, when I got confused, because you were saying when she switches to deputy treasurer, that deputy treasurer spot is not currently $20.
Oh, I maybe this was confusing. Only
That's
the
where I was
first,
confused.
the first 2 sentences were the motion. The rest of the description was just
Oh, I think.
description.
okay.
No, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
That's fine.
Do you want, I can read it again just so
Yeah, would you
everybody's clear?
please?
Absolutely. I would like to move to approve Michelle DeClerc as the treasurer's assistant with a wage to be set at $20 per hour for an average of 3 days per week. She is expected to start on December 16th, 2024, and a 30-day probationary period will apply. That's my motion. And again, the average of 3 days, that then gives me the discretion based on workload. If we need somebody there more that week, or if it's a lighter week and perhaps we don't need that full staffing.
So then help me understand what happens after Roberta leaves. She then becomes the deputy treasurer,
Correct. We will appoint her as deputy treasurer.
and then she maintains the $20. So essentially, we're raising the fee that we pay for the deputy treasurer to $20. We're kind of
That's where I'm
starting
saying
her
there
at
would have
20
to
as
be
an
another
assistant,
motion.
Well,
grandfathering that bringing her over, then saying, well, she's already making 20, so she's got to stay at 20.
That's where I was.
I don't know. It's up to you. I don't know how you usually do it, but
There would have to be I believe, a separate motion to raise the deputy treasurers.
And I'm comfortable doing that also, because with the experience and the value that they bring to the position, I think they're more than worth it.
So Roberta is the deputy right now, making what right now?
I think it's what, 18, 20,
1850.
it's $1.50 times,
So when Roberta was the treasurer, you were the deputy, and you were making, when you came in, 1850. Okay, all right.
Did I confuse you?
so anyway, that is my motion. And if the board would like, I can make another motion, raising the pay scale for the current deputy treasurer to $20 an hour, if the board would be comfortable with that.
comfortable in maintaining the 1850 for the new person?
I would not, I talked to her, I felt that $20 an hour was fair based on the wage scale that is in the community today. I know that what word am I looking for? Wages will all be going up with shortly based on,
Yeah, in February.
Right.
Minimum wage will increase.
it will
to,
increase.
Like almost $2.50 an hour minimum.
So
wage.
that's why I'm putting that, I was considering that also because I don't see us increasing the wages at this time if we have to do that. So,
You're going to have that same situation. It'll be a disparate pay arrangement with some of the other deputies and so forth. I mean, if they're not all making $20, they're all going to be subject to the same increase in
Right,
minimum wage. It's going to play out across. So if you do it for
Correct.
one, you're going to have to do it
The
for
other
all.
deputy already makes 20.
Yeah.
the other deputy already makes $20 an hour.
I thought you said it was 1850 is what they
The
started
deputy
at.
treasurer makes
So I'm-
my deputy makes 20.
So I'm also trying to bring some equity and some, to equal things out a little bit too, just to be fair to to Roberta, to the current deputy treasurer, to the new deputy treasurer coming in. And I'm mindful that the current deputy clerk already makes $20 an hour. So we're not, we're just trying to be fair and do the right thing.
So let me, I know, but the board is ultimately responsible for setting the hours and the wage. And I just want to make sure that we're not out ahead of our headlights. And I don't want to be backed into a situation in June when we renew the budget to say, well, you know what, we never anticipated this $20 times 3 days and all that. So we have to now increase the budget next year because you're kind of then backdoored into making an increase.
Well, it's possible we do need to look at that because the budget for the year was $10,000 for the entire year. So there's a good possibility we'll have to look at that. But that's at budget time. We can talk about that at that time. But for right now, this is what I've got in front of me. And I'm hopeful that the board will be supportive of me because I'm not trying to waste money. I'm trying to do the right thing for the residents and provide them with quality staffing and support so that our office runs smoothly and that we can make their experience a better experience and move on from there. I'm trying to do the best thing and the right thing for the residents. And I would hope I would have the support of the board to do that.
So going back to how this works with Roberta phasing out,
Mhm.
you talked about walking through the tax season and a probationary period for Michelle.
Correct. And
And
when we're
then what, because the 30 days would be up in January 16th on a probationary.
correct.
Where does Roberta fit into that walking through the tax season?
Roberta is
Are you the one, is Roberta the one you're referring to walk through the tax season or is Michelle the one?
correct. Roberta
Roberta
is
okay.
walking me through the tax season. However, because Michelle is so ultra qualified,
Right.
she also has that same knowledge. So as Roberta maybe sees that we can do this and we have the best backing and the knowledge, she is very ready to retire. And if she sees that, I think she will maybe be able to retire a little earlier and take a break.
Which would be to the benefit of the township,
It would be.
as far as what Mike is trying to.
Right, right.
So as a probationary period ends, does Michelle understand what those expectations are that she should meet at the end of that probationary?
I believe so.
Okay.
I mean, Roberta and I both sat down with her,
Okay.
and she seemed very knowledgeable, very open, very accepting of what we needed and what we were looking for. I would expect that deputy treasurer and that treasurer's assistant title to flip after that 30-day probationary period. I just wanted to make sure it was a good fit. And because a deputy treasurer has their name on the bank records and they are a signer on the account, I thought it was just a good idea and very practical, just to wait that 30 days to make sure that it was going to work out. So that is my motion. I can read it again? Okay. I move to approve Michelle DeClerc as the treasurer's assistant with a wage to be set at $20 per hour for an average of 3 days per week. She is expected to start on December 16th, 2024, and a 30-day probationary period will apply.
Support.
We have a motion on the floor with support. Any further discussion?
So you're just talking about taking Michelle to $20 an hour right now. That's it.
Employing her for $20 an hour as the treasurer's assistant.
Okay.
And then I also will make another motion after this wraps up to increase the deputy treasurer's pay for Roberta to $20 an hour. Correct. So I'll wait on that.
So we have a motion on the floor to hire Michelle DeClerc as a deputy treasurer at the rate of $20 per hour.
As a treasurer's assistant.
Assistant. We have support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And
I just had a quick question. Jenny, what's the, like on the $20 an hour, what's the backside cost for us for like workman's comp and all that stuff? And our FICA match, and is it near double? It used to be about double. I mean, if somebody made $10 an hour,
Right.
they essentially cost 20. It used to be like a rule of
It's
thumb.
about, yeah. I don't know exactly offhand, but yes, I would say that was the rule of thumb.
So even at that, to double it, we would be looking at like 13.6. If it was full on 3 days a week, both of them here for the full 9 weeks, that would be about a $13,600 cost.
And that
And we
wouldn't
have, like-
happen because they are going to coordinate so that there is only one person here.
Okay.
Right. They should not overlap.
So, and what is the budget amount that we have set aside?
You said there's like $9,600 left.
$9,665.
You're saying it's going to be 13,000.
If both of them were here, worst case, 3 days a week, both of them sitting here all of the 9 weeks. So, but she's saying we're gonna have one day, one another kind of thing, staggered.
Has there been a significant change where somehow whatever was budgeted for and anticipated when the budget was set has significantly changed that would at least justify an increase in cost?
Yes.
What?
I was a deputy and I had a full-time job, so I was not able to be here. And Roberta was comfortable using the deputy clerk, and Jenny and Paul was good person he pitched into to accept the taxes. So that's why when they budgeted initially, the initial budget number was far lower because they based it on me not being here and using current staff in the office. So that is why there was a difference.
Just to expand on that, when Kim originally accepted the deputy clerk or deputy treasurer job, she took that job unpaid.
Mhm. Right.
She did that.
I didn't accept
Yeah, she
payment
didn't
for that.
accept payment at first, so that did modify the budget some. So,
In order to help the budget out, the quicker you can phase Roberta out, the better.
Exactly.
And that's really the goal.
That is-
She
that is-
wants to get out of here. Got
She
it.
wants to get out of here, and it should all fit really tightly together.
Sounds like it.
That's what I thought. So
She may leave sooner than expected. maybe.
I think if she knows that somebody is here that has all the knowledge and skills, I think she would appreciate that opportunity to leave earlier than she thought.
When is that tax season that you're walking? So
The end of February.
yeah, okay.
So it's just a couple, like 9 weeks. And again, this should phase out very well if it all goes according to plan. Okay, so I guess my next motion is I'd like to approve Roberta Hudson as deputy treasurer with a wage to be increased to $20 per hour.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to increase Roberta Hudson's deputy treasurer wages to $20 per hour. Do we have support?
support.
All right, we have a motion with support.
When do you want that to take effect?
Next week.
16th, when the other lady starts?
Correct.
Okay.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I had something on that. I think that we need to probably establish like an employment committee
Mhm.
so that we can set, a matrix with where we hire, when we give raises, all that stuff. I agree in this case because we're leveling the playing field. We're bringing the deputy treasurer up to the deputy clerk. Whether that job's equal or not, I don't know. I'm not here every day, but every company that I've ever worked for, there was some type of payment schedule. You get hired in as this after so many days, so much time, you get this, whether it was a benefits bump, financial, whatever. We need to do that. We need to establish that. And it's fair to the employees as well, so that they know what to possibly look forward to. It can be performance based, or it can just be time based. But potentially, I know we have the building committee, but maybe just an employment committee. We do employ people here, so maybe a couple of us that can sit down and not have to have everyone sit through these painful discussions, and then figure out a matrix and bring it in, almost like our fee schedule for our permits and stuff. It's a set fee. This is what we hire at, and then if there is an exception to the rule, that's when we make an exception. If somebody's exceptional, like myself, maybe.
We have a motion on the floor with support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Opposed. With one opposition. I'm opposed. Mr. Chris. Okay, so part and parcel of that may have been a typo, but I got it on the same line on the agenda. Treasurer's designee resolution. Again, that's you, Kimberly.
So we have to pass a resolution that will allow the clerk, deputy clerk, and supervisor, and now the assistant to the treasurer, to accept tax payments on our behalf. If for some reason we are out of the office, this is just something that we have to do by law, and it gives them the authority to receive a payment. Again, they are not receiving the tax bill or processing the tax bill. They're literally just accepting the check and the tax bill.
So Jenny, are we doing this by motion, I assume?
Yeah, you have to do a motion and then you'll do a roll call.
Okay. I move to approve the deputy treasurer, assistant treasurer, the deputy clerk, assistant treasurer and supervisor, and deputy treasurer to act as the treasurer's designee in the acceptance of tax payments in my absence. I guess, I'm sorry, I'm going to start that over. I delete that. Just let me start over on this one. I'd like to make a motion that the supervisor, clerk, deputy clerk, and assistant treasurer be authorized designees of the treasurer in the acceptance of tax payments and any revenues in compliance with the General Property Tax Act, Section 43(2), serves the township as an employee or elected official upon the absence of the treasurer or deputy treasurer.
Motion on the floor. Is there support?
Support.
Support.
Yes.
Further discussion?
Jenny, is this something that is okay?
I told Kim we would take a payment if they are busy. I would anticipate the treasurer's department to be there Monday through Thursday from 8 to 2 to collect them on a regular basis. I know in the past that's not what was happening, and so I had a conversation with Kim, and we're happy to help if she's on the phone helping someone else, but we're not expected to do it on a regular basis.
Somewhat of a rare occasion, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know this is a procedural thing, but I just want to make sure that the people that are on the receiving end of it are okay with it before we.
And again, because we have the office fully staffed with either myself, the deputy, and now the assistant treasurer, it shouldn't be an issue very, very rarely, but we still do have to pass this just to give them the authority to receive that check.
Under those conditions, you're good, right?
Yes, and I already had the conversation.
Yeah, we had a
with
good
Kim.
conversation about it, and we're
Gary,
both
you're
in
good?
agreement.
You're in that too, you're good?
He's like, I'm just gonna be in my office.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor with support. We need a roll call vote on this one, Jenny?
Yes. So Streeter,
Yes.
Dodge,
Yes.
Swears,
Yes.
Hennessy, yes. Eschenberg,
Yes.
Chris, Grossback.
Yes. Next order of business, approval of amendment of section F subsection 1 of the Planning Commission bylaws. We got into a little snafu, I don't know, a month or so ago, where a special meeting was requested, or say requested, for an applicant. Turns out the process by which that meeting was requested was not performed properly. So Dennis Swears did some research on that. Dennis, I'd like to turn that over to you if you've got some input on that.
Yeah, this is a change to the bylaws to make it very clear to follow the PA Act, PA 33, Michigan Planning and Enabling Act. Spells it out very clear in the bylaws who can call a special meeting, and it also addresses the fee that's required to hold a special meeting. It cannot be waived. That's by law, by statute. Those two items are very clear now in the bylaws if the board accepts those changes to the Planning Commission bylaws. So it's Michigan statute, both of them. So we'll put them in the bylaws.
Any questions from the board, reference that? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Public Act 33, the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. Only members of the Planning Commission may call for a special meeting of the Planning Commission. In addition, the fees associated with scheduling a special meeting cannot be waived and must be paid prior to the meeting scheduled and held.
Support.
The motion's on the floor with support. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ferguson Cemetery mowing. We have a contract here, entered into on the 11th day of November 2019, between the Township of Almont and a company by the name of Yard Services, okay? Yard Services and Jerry Powinski has this contract with the township to mow our 3 cemeteries. Now we have 4, the Ferguson Cemetery. And Mr. Powinski is also our cemetery sexton, so he does the grave openings and closings and so on and so forth. So it was recommended that Yard Services be added to this contract to perform these duties in the Webster Cemetery, Sand Hill Cemetery, Scott Settlement Cemetery, and now the Ferguson Cemetery. I did talk to Mr. Powinski. In fact, he came in today and he offered a contract for the mowing of Ferguson Cemetery. I think I gave everybody a copy of that. Yard Services Incorporated costs for lawn maintenance trimming included at the Ferguson Cemetery would be $14,400 for 18 cuts. Okay, spring cleanup of $600, fall cleanup of $400. Additional work would be charged per man hour. Fee schedule for grave opening remained the same as currently for Webster Cemetery, Sand Hill, and Scott Settlement Cemetery. And all graves are to be located with the assistance of the township supervisor. So I'm trying to bone up on that. So I guess I'm going to open the floor to discussion on your thoughts over this contract. I don't know why when this contract was entered into in 2019, there was no closing date of the contract. Mr. Powinski indicated he thought it was an open contract. So I guess what's the board's pleasure?
Do you know what the balance of the bank account was that the cemetery turned over to the township when we took the cemetery
We have not
over?
received from Ferguson.
Correct.
Yeah, we have not received that yet. It's not going to be a large dollar amount. I talked to Mr. Don Eschenberg. He was the president of the Ferguson Cemetery Association. They retained the balance in there, and Randy, did he say it was $5,000 or $6,000?
That's what he said, yeah.
They want to purchase a bronze plaque commemorating and or honoring those who have served on the Ferguson Cemetery board. He indicated to me when he brought the records in that he's finding that those plaques are fairly expensive. So at this point, he wants to take that out of the balance, okay, and then give us, what the remainder is. So I don't have a figure yet.
Okay.
But it's nothing like Scott Settlements,
Okay.
okay?
Right.
It's going to be minimal.
Okay.
Okay.
How-
So, I guess, Randy, you mentioned about maybe going out to bids on the mowing.
Yeah,
But you'd like,
do we have to? That's my question.
I don't think if,
And I'm just asking it because I don't want to go and then say, oh, we should have went out for bids, which.
I have not, and I don't think Mr. Bowman prior to me did either, had any concerns and or complaints about the job performance at our cemetery so far as the mowing and maintenance and so on. I personally wouldn't have a problem of having Yard Services added, responsibilities to Ferguson for that detail. Jerry is our sexton. He does a good job, and I guess there aren't a whole lot of people out there, I think, that gets into digging graves at this
Right,
point, so.
So I guess my question is, I have no problem with this. If that contract that's in 2019, open-ended, is this one just gonna join that, and are those prices gonna remain the same?
That's at the board's pleasure.
I don't know, or do,
He indicated to me that,
things have gone up.
right, he indicated to
I'm
me
just-
that he may come back with a fee schedule, and this fee schedule is from 5 years ago, okay? So the contract that's in question here, okay, as payment for the mowing services, contractor shall be paid $9,600 annually for 16 cuts and $1,200 for spring and fall cleanup. The owner shall pay this amount at $1,800 per month. I think you've all got a copy of this. Paid June through November. So his contract for Ferguson, and I'm not sure what the size difference is in these cemeteries, but he says Ferguson is somewhat of a challenge. Takes him approximately, he says he used to cut it years ago, 8-hour day. He says, I got 4 hours on a lawnmower and 4 hours on a weed whip to go out on each monument. So where he's gonna come back on a request for the other three, he didn't bring that to me today, whether he's gonna wanna increase that or not. I don't know at this point.
I don't have a problem with it. How about if we just, if we don't have to bid this, how about if we just have it put all in one?
Well, it's.
Right now, we have to have somebody as a sexton and do burials and
Correct.
snow removal.
Correct.
And I have no problem.
The only thing is, there's separate budgets. At least Scott Settlement's it's a separate line item. I mean, I don't have any problem combining them, but at some point we have to break it up. We have to know what that cost is, because it has to be levied against like Scott Settlement or.
And you're gonna need to know what's coming in from the Ferguson that's handed over to us also. So.
How are the other ones handled? I know Scott Settlement has its own.
It's got its own fund. It had like 40-some thousand dollars in there when we took that cemetery over.
Right.
So what was your question then, Rick?
So prior to Ferguson, we have three, right? We have
Sandhill.
Webster, Sandhill, and Scott Settlement, right?
Right.
So Webster and Sandhill, are those in the general fund?
They do come out of a line item for cemetery maintenance out of general fund, yeah.
Same with if someone buys a plot in Sandhill or whatever, it just goes into general fund?
Correct.
Okay.
How big is the cemetery? How many acres, Ferguson?
You might know
It's not all
that.
populated.
Okay.
There's 3.5 acres that is currently not in use, okay? And I guess at some point in time, Ferguson board rented that land out for agricultural purposes. That gentleman still wants to farm it. If we want him to do that, that would be a discussion for another time, I suppose.
Mhm. The reason
So
I'm
I
asking.
don't have the actual
Okay.
acreage on it.
All right. The reason I'm asking, it's a pricey yearly
It is.
fee. So I was just wondering if the reason for that was because it is so much larger than the other cemeteries.
The other ones, yeah.
Yeah. Is that why the
Yeah.
price difference? Okay.
Now obviously this price does not include the 3.5 acres that is not current. That's not currently.
Actually,
budgeted.
we're having that property maintained at a pretty good rate, okay? And I think Ferguson was charging him $200 a year to farm it, okay? My personal feelings are if he wants to farm it, let him farm it. He's maintaining it at the same time. It's not going fallow or growing up. But that could be a discussion for later on, you know?
Mhm.
So what are we looking for here? Just a motion to accept this.
So there's no current contract with the cemetery folks that were taking it? They don't have a contract right now to do this work in place
Scott's was.
with somebody else?
The Ferguson Cemetery?
Yes.
That was being maintained by Scott Gardner,
Oh,
okay?
and they don't have a contract with him?
No.
No?
It was on a per call basis, is my understanding.
And does
They
Jerry,
called him up, said it needed to be mowed. He was supposed to mow
who does the digging out there then?
it.
Like
Well,
Jerry?
he did,
Jerry.
but that's all done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So now the
Ferguson
cemetery,
Cemetery
Go
turned
ahead.
it over to the township. Everything is in our hands now.
we own, the township owns it, so.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm hard pressed to understand an open-end contract.
Well, I am too. So, I mean, if we want to renew the contract tonight, when we can come up with a closing date, you know, from January 1 through 2025 through whatever term you felt was appropriate. And I don't know why it didn't have a closing date on it. I have no clue. But it doesn't. So I would be comfortable with a 2 or 3 year contract, I guess. You know, I don't know what your thoughts are. But
Somebody mentioned snow removal that's not in here. Do we do that?
There's a grave opening out there to be dug and there's snow there. Usually the sexton would take care of that. And yes, and we would get charged. I guess what I would suggest right now is get a hold of Yard Services, find out about the contract. And if we just took this, what was presented to us, and right now talk to them about the existing contract, about, you know, what's the price on that? Take this new contract and say, yes, you're gonna be our cemetery sexton and you're gonna dig the graves and do the snow. And then maybe we could get this all in one little basket and try to take care of it.
okay, so we can put this off till next month. I'll get a hold of Mr. Powinski, have
And
him.
say, you know, you're our sexton on
Right.
record right now for the Ferguson Cemetery
We'll see if he's gonna update his schedule of fees
for the other
for the
contract.
existing contract.
Yes.
So since this is a agenda item, do you want a motion to table it to next month or?
I think the motion needs to say, though, that we can't table it because we need to have somebody be a cemetery sexton and dig a grave.
But he,
And then if Gary gets a hold of him and finds out about the other contract that was began in 2019, is there gonna be any update to that? And put everything in like the same basket. That's where I'm at.
So this contract really, I mean, it's titled, did I give you guys a copy of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one.
Almont Township Cemetery Sexton is the name of the contract, but then in the back page, it discusses the mowing services. So it's, you know, it's one and the same, but it should have been titled
Yeah, and that's
Cemetery
just like the
Sexton
one we got
slash.
right now. It's kind of a.
I'll get with Jerry.
Put some dates on it.
You want to table it until next month?
But can we,
I see what you're saying.
we need somebody to be a sexton out there to do a burial.
Well, we can
And
do
I
that.
would make a motion to
Okay.
have Yard Services be the cemetery sexton at the Ferguson Cemetery for the burials and the snow removal, or if there's anything that we need to do on an hourly rate, allow him to do that. And then when we get the rest of that contract that started in 19, if there's any updates to them, we'll address that then at our next meeting.
support.
Got that, Jenny?
No,
You know what I'm talking about.
I'll rewatch it.
I have one question or suggestion. I think, and we went through this before when we made a motion, I think Jerry is the sexton, not Yard Services.
Correct.
Okay,
We need to make sure that
Okay.
that the motion
Jerry
says that
Kowinski then.
Jerry is the, right. He'll use his equipment and company to do the work.
okay,
But because if he sold Yard Services tomorrow, Jerry is still our sexton.
okay.
We don't lose that.
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So shouldn't the duties be separated then? I guess I'm not clear on that. Seems like we had a sexton before that wasn't mowing the lawn,
He didn't have a mower.
but the duties were different.
Correct.
Well, years ago, we had Hank Gutenkus as a sexton.
Right.
We bid it
And a
out.
separate
lower.
contract for the mowing and a maintenance.
Right.
Do you want to grab her?
I'd like to
And
see
their
that.
stuff.
She just bailed with the,
Yeah,
does it need to be signed?
yeah, can,
Can we take like a break and
yeah, sign
real
their
quick and
things.
we'll sign
Yep.
these
Yeah,
and let
Did
them
she
go
go
home?
outside?
yeah, you might want to grab her.
Just go grab,
They all want to go to the fire
grab your
department and
friend
become
one
a
and we'll
cadet.
sign it.
What is it that we are signing?
Oh, you were right, Ken.
Oh, that you guys were here.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Hope you enjoyed the show.
Did you catch her? Oh, good.
Okay, so we're gonna table that issue for further discussion, and
Yeah.
I'll get a hold of Mr. Powinski.
Okay.
See if we can come up with an updated price list for his services out there, so.
But I still have a question, Gary. Should those be two separate contracts?
This is, say again?
Should those be two separate contracts?
I think they should be.
I do too. Okay.
Yeah, I think they should be.
And I want to
Yeah,
say,
I didn't mean just because they were
Right. We
in
got to have
a
coverage.
basket, but let's get everything together so we can just deal with that.
Yeah.
I want to say we made them separate before,
That's fine.
a couple months ago.
It's fine.
Yep.
Okay, moving along. ZBA appointment, okay, I've got one applicant, Melissa Nunn, okay. We have an opening due to Clay Stroop moving, okay. However, I think it was Tom Schoen.
Tom Shane.
Shane, I think
Yep.
you voiced interest possibly in that as well, so I,
Can I?
Bonnie did as well.
that appointment would expire 12/31 of 25. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna leave it up to the board at this point.
So we just have one appointment?
One
Yes.
appointment, I've got two applicants.
Well, you have
Okay.
three technically.
I've got what?
You have three applicants.
I do?
Bonnie.
Bonnie,
Oh, Bonnie?
Tom, and this
I
Melissa.
didn't know Bonnie was an applicant for the,
She has it marked on
okay,
her
marked
thing.
it. All right, well, I'm remiss.
Do we want to make this appointment in January as well?
I think we can, I mean, the ZBA isn't used that often, we've got time.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, so
Me
we
too.
can address the appointment to the planning commission also.
Right.
I wouldn't want to, I guess, disrupt the applicants that were here tonight.
Right.
Right. Oh, that's
and-
fair.
And make it fair that
Right.
let's do our negotiations among ourselves here and then figure out where we're at.
Oh,
Okay,
that's fair.
sounds like a plan. All right, we'll table that till January. Open meetings resolution for 2025. You all should have a copy of that.
I'll move to approve the meeting schedule for Almont Township Board for 2025 as presented.
Motion's on the floor with support. That's a roll call vote, Jenny?
Yes. So let's see. Dodge,
Yes.
Swears,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Eschenberg,
Yes.
Streeter,
Yes.
Hennigy, yes. Grosbeck.
Yes.
Did you have a
Okay,
question?
motion is approved.
What'd I do?
Write those down on your,
I did, but it says here
Did I
that
make a
it's
mistake?
at 7 PM.
oh,
I was only gonna put down on there that, make sure that they're end by 9 PM.
by 9? Well, we're
I was like, what do you mean?
We're on
You
overtime
brought it up
tonight.
earlier.
I apologize.
We'll put that. in the-
Construction Board of Appeals, our building official came up with 3 new, what he's requesting, 3 new members of the Construction Board of Appeals, which they don't get used that often. The appointments would expire December 31st of 2026. Ed Koch, he's a building inspector / building contractor out of Lapeer. Corey Mayberry, Davies Land Surveying Engineering. We all know Corey. Carlo Tocco, he's a HVAC guy, Michigan Air Heating and Cooling in Macomb Township. So I don't have an issue with these people. They're recommended by our building official. He knows them. So I would ask for a motion.
So I'll go ahead and make the motion. I would move to approve Mr. Carlo Tocco, Mr. Corey Mayberry, and Mr. Ed Koch to the Construction Board of Appeals pursuant to the request of Mr. Joe Israel, Almont Township Building Official.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Support. Okay, all in favor?
Yep.
I have a question first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Are we good with Corey being on there, with being our township engineer?
I don't personally have an issue with it.
There's no conflict or anything like that? He's our township engineer.
Correct. So,
I'm sorry? Okay, so he would be just an alternate then?
I'm seeing as an alternate. He's an alternate now. No, he would be on the board. Right? Corey? Yeah. Yeah, not an alternate, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's taking great damage to the position.
right.
Do we want to include the expiration date on this or no?
That's on the top of
Okay,
You mean in a motion, Kim?
right.
So
The
let me
new
go ahead and
appointments
amend the
would
motion.
expire December of
It should be for a
2026.
2-year term.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I owe you an aye.
So we have a motion? We have support?
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Jenny, you had a late agenda item, observed holidays.
Yeah, so I had asked Gary, I'm not sure why we've never followed Lapeer County's holidays, that they're closed. I feel like we're under Lapeer County. About probably at least 90% of the other townships follow the same observed holidays as Lapeer County. We didn't, so I just wondered if we could adopt that we follow what Lapeer County does. Because the thing is the days, like it adds 3 days, Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, and Veterans Day. The post office is closed, the bank's closed. Most people call here and they're like, oh, you're open? Like no one really anticipates us to be open because Lapeer County, at the county level is closed.
So how many additional days would that be?
Just 3 additional days.
Yeah.
So I don't know what everyone else's thoughts.
I don't
are
have
on
a
that.
problem with it myself. We kind of come under the umbrella of the county, so to speak. I mean, if that's what everybody else is recognizing, I don't see why we
The
wouldn't.
only, and then I guess if an election fell at that time and it was a holiday, we are required, like me and my deputy would have to be here during election time if it was an election year.
Make a motion to approve the vacation, or no, this would be holiday schedule to match Lapeer County on the 12 days as presented.
Support.
The motion's on the floor with support to approve the updated holiday list. Any further questions and or discussion?
Well, only a couple, the county, only a couple of places are closed. The court system's closed and one other department's closed, but everyone else at the county is open that day. So I did not include that on the observed holidays.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Anybody left out there want to say anything? No? Okay, we'll move on. I don't have any correspondence myself. Anybody else on the board have anything?
I did throw something in your packet just so you guys could see. It was from Michigan.gov/vote.
Oh, yeah.
So November's was the biggest election ever. So I did throw that just so you guys could read that in your packet as a correspondence.
Okay, board discussion. After 9, I'm going to defer to the board's preference. What I've got down here is permit clerk duties / wages. We've already discussed the Ferguson issue and committee work discussion. So is this something you guys wanted to get in tonight, or do you want to get into it in January, given the hour of the evening? It's up
Well,
to
I
you.
guess we're on the pay raise thing here. The permit clerk. I believe I was part of the interview committee with Gary and Joe and Roberta, and Gary and I are here. When we did the interviews there, that we had talked about, starting out at $15 an hour, which is pretty at the bottom of the bucket. Since that hiring of Paige there as a permit clerk, we have taken it to $17.50. I believe it's time to put her up there at that $20 an hour. I guess from the reports that I get, she's been doing a very well job.
Yeah, I've spoke with Paige as well. And we talked about additional duties down the road for her.
Yes.
Where did Ida leave?
She's back there.
Oh, okay. Ida has been talking about future retirement plans, and not pushing you out here by any means. You're welcome to stay as long as you feel, but, okay. So we're trying to cross-train Paige a little bit, and she's willing to learn and be cross-trained for other future duties. So it was discussed that she's a young girl with an interest. How do we retain her long-term? Okay. Pay, it sounds like $20 an hour is the figure I'm hearing a lot tonight for employees. I think she's worth it. Okay. Where we go down the road with her additional duties remains to be seen, but she gets a good report from all members of the board that are with her on a daily basis, as well as the building official and Ida. So it's the board's pleasure, whether you want to discuss that further tonight or make it an agenda item. I think, Randy, you were talking about making a motion to that effect. I don't know if that's...
I'd make a motion to set Paige as the permit clerk at $20 an hour. I guess starting tomorrow.
Support?
Support.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
One thing too, there, you have down there committee, and you talked about more duties for her and trying to have somebody oversee all this. Rick brought it up too. Absolutely, I'm for having a committee.
Well,
So we'll just,
I think when it comes to like the budget, we might be able to, we might be able to boost her pay accordingly or whatever if she's helping out, I'll call it on the other side of the wall with administrative duties or whatever, when there's downtime in the, maybe helping you out or whatever. Stuff like that. We can deal with that when it comes time in budget, because that would come from general fund.
I've suggested to some of the members, Dennis being one, and Randy, and maybe Mike and others, Kim, well, I guess all of us, about committee work. We've had a building department committee. We've had a road committee, which Randy and I and Paul Bowman sat on. I was thinking something maybe in terms of a public safety committee. I didn't have the police chief here tonight, but we do have Mr. Smith. How often those committees would meet, I don't really know, but as an advisory, maybe if there was issues within the public safety sector, I would like to invite Lapeer EMS, and I will invite them, their director, to come and give us a little synopsis of what their program is about. And years ago, we opted out of that membership. They still obviously service our community, so I feel a little self-conscious about that. So is this something that maybe should be in committee work? I don't know. I'm open to, suggestions and thoughts and so on and so forth on it. But currently, we do need another member on the road committee, okay? I don't know who might be interested. Mr. Dodge?
I'm interested on the road committee.
Okay. So the floor is open for discussion, whatever you guys feel is appropriate.
What kind of committees are you looking to set up or create?
Well, like I said, right now, we've got the road committee, we have a
Yeah.
building department committee that kind of tries to be a liaison, if you will, to the board and what goes on back there. This public safety committee would be something new, okay? Is it necessary at this time? I'd like to sit down with Don and the police chief at some point and discuss it, and maybe Lapeer EMS as well. I'm a little dark in the Lapeer EMS area, okay? So I guess, and of course, committee work is volunteerism. So it depends upon how much time each one of us wants to devote to those committees, how often they would meet. It's hard to say at this point, but this is just an open discussion of what your thoughts are. We don't have to formulate anything tonight. It sounds like we do have a volunteer for the road committee, so we'll take him up on his offer. But
Is there an HR committee or is that part of the building committee?
That's what I was going to bring along with
Okay.
where I was talking about, as far as figuring out a pay
Right.
schedule and all that.
Yeah, I'd like to be part of that.
okay, the other issue that comes to my mind, and Mike Chris has been working on that a lot, along with Dennis Swears, our high-speed internet, okay, for this community. It's been proposed or asked for many times through the years. The other one is the solar energy, windmill farms, and battery storage facilities. Mike's got a lot of background. I was to a township supervisors, village city managers meeting in Lapeer last week, and it's across the boards. All the townships are struggling with coming up with ordinances that would help protect our township, if you will, from, I guess, in my viewpoint, the unsightliness, if you will, of a solar energy farm. There's been many landowners already in our township that have been approached for contracts, very lucrative contracts. My thoughts are most people move out here to get away from the congestion and so on. I think we heard that tonight from some of the planning commission applicants. So do we need a committee formed to investigate that further? Maybe so, okay?
I think we're going to see that Wednesday night when we talk about, it's going to be renewable, solar, wind, and battery, and then maybe battery factories. We're going to look at that Wednesday night at the Planning Commission. I'm proposing we move that to committee and focus on solar energy. That's coming at us like a freight train.
Right.
And I'm telling you, the state of Michigan is really pushing that. Mike is extremely knowledgeable on solar energy with his background. I also like to float the idea of tapping into citizens at large. I mean, the applicants we looked at tonight for the Planning Commission, we have a lot of talent out there, and if they were to volunteer without spreading the board too thin on committees, I don't know what the board feels about tapping citizens at large, but there's knowledgeable people in this community that would love to get involved. We heard a bunch of them tonight. And we can only select one member or one of those applicants for the Planning Commission, but there's a lot of good qualified people out here.
Yeah, I personally would be open to that, to citizen involvement. And it's an effort to kind of, in my mind, bring this community together. It's just not a certain select few elected officials that make all the rules. We're representing our community, and I think community involvement is a positive, okay? We need to, at some point, I think if the board wants to do this, put it out there on our website, which is another issue, I guess, for another time to discuss. But yes, I agree with you.
But I think as far as renewable energies, we're going to talk about that. We have a little bit not in total agreement as to where the Planning Commission should take it. We started out with solar. We've been talking solar for over a year. It's expanded to now wind and batteries. And we have a little bit of a difference of opinion whether we roll out renewables into one ordinance or focus on three. We'll discuss that Wednesday night, but I think the consensus, well, the bad thing about Wednesday night is there's four of us.
Right.
So we don't even have, we have just a quorum. And so we're going to talk about that Wednesday night. But, and I'd like to see too that members of the Planning Commission and the board are more synced up a little bit as we move forward somehow.
Now, we discussed maybe a combined joint meeting of the board and the Planning Commission in an attempt to come to the table and be on the same page, okay, so we all understand our roles and what the goals are for our community. I was talking to Ron Siskey, the former supervisor, long-term supervisor, probably the longest-term supervisor in the county. He said they've been doing that for years, okay, combined meetings. It's just good communication. So there's a lot of issues out there, I think, that, obviously we're not going to do this all tonight or tomorrow night or next month, but it's something, food for thought, that I think we need to get that out there, that we're a community trying to work together and do the best for everyone concerned. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you can tap the resources of our community. I mean, it's voluntary basis, but there's some talent out there.
Mike, are you interested in being a committee man on that solar energy, or you?
Told Dennis and the Planning Commission I'd be happy to help.
Okay, so if it was you two and maybe who else would be on that, do you think?
I think Brian did a wonderful job of putting together a draft ordinance on all three categories. Our planner is key, but I'm telling you, there is so much stuff out there, and the state's trying to take this over and force down our throats one way or the other, and the debate has to be a workable ordinance. I mean, I don't think our community's going to like this. There's a fine line here, and I think we have a weak ordinance, and my proposal would be working with Mike and a couple other guys on the Planning Commission and our planner, and anybody at large, is to have a draft ordinance by February.
So
And
how
then
have we
board
done
would
this in the
have to
past?
Deal with that ordinance and it's approved or not.
Have we assigned committees by motion, or is this just?
Well, that's a whole another issue. I think the committees that we've had up thus far were kind of ad hoc committees. They
Right.
they didn't have officers, they didn't have minutes, that kind of thing. It was just a group that's not a quorum that met outside of these walls.
Well, we need to do some investigation into that as to how we organize these committees and how they report back to the board and so on and so forth. I'll try to do some research on that. You're a member of the road committee then?
Sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So we got a road committee. I did talk to Jeff Schusler the other night. Somebody said, well, what about a guy like Jeff who's retired from the road commission? Would he want to, if we met in committee, join us for, and he said, sure, not a problem,
I think you got Tom Moore out there said something.
Tom Moore may, he's got a lot of road building experience too, but.
I think Jeff would be good.
Huh?
I think Jeff would be good.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll do some research on the committee's organization and on how they report back and how they meet and so on and so forth. But I just would like the community to know that we're open, okay, to public involvement on these committees, so.
So
Anything else from the board?
are you going to try to have the head of Lapeer County EMS come in and speak to us about that? Are you
I'm
going to
sorry?
try to contact the head of Lapeer County EMS
I will contact them,
to
yes.
come in and talk to us about our role? What do we want to do with it? Okay.
It's still, I think it's still Russ, isn't it? Isn't it Russ that's the head of Lapeer County EMS? No?
So
I'm sorry? Okay, that'd be great.
Just a note, tax bills have been sent out. Everybody should have received theirs. If you haven't received it, call me or email me, and I can mail you a copy or email you a copy. So please know that. We will get a copy to you if you haven't received yours.
Okay,
I just want to say welcome to our new members and Merry Christmas
Merry Christmas.
to everybody. That's how we say it. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Also, too, I'd like to say that I don't know how this happened, but we had 5 applicants for the planning commission.
Mhm.
I don't know how that ever happened, but you used to have to go out and try to find somebody to do this job. Now they came out of the woodwork. I guess thank every one of them for
Right.
doing that.
Yeah, thank you very much,
And the other thing
everybody.
is too, this is gonna be a difficult decision to make. So anyways, that's it. Everybody done?
So.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Hit the button.